All right, so I got my notes ready, and today we're going to be talking about just credit repair secrets that you need to know. I got 6 tips that will really change the way you repair your own credit, okay? I'm a DIY credit repair advocate over here. I feel like you can do it yourself, but you just need to know what credit repair specialists know, okay? So number 1, personal information matters. I know a lot of times we want to skip this step and we want to jump right into disputing the derogatory items on our credit report because we're looking to gain points. But cleaning up your profile really matters here. Oftentimes, creditors will validate your debts and validate the things that you're disputing based off what's in your personal information section. So there's no need for an address that you no longer live at to still be on your credit report, especially if it may be tied to a collection that's on your credit report, okay? So you want to clean up this information. Another reason why you want to clean up your personal information, because when you're in the rebuilding stage of your credit repair process, you may look a little bit more risky to lenders if you have an excessive amount of addresses, telephone numbers, and employers, because it looks like you can't seem to stay in one spot and it seems like you don't have a consistent flow of income because you're bouncing around from one place to the next. So you want to just have it boiled down to just one name, one address being the one that you reside at, one employer or 2, especially if you work multiple jobs, but you want to appear stable to lenders, okay? And you want to lower the chances of a debt collector validating a debt just based off what's in your personal information section, especially if a debt may be tied to an address that you no longer live at. So
clean it up. See you in 48 hours.
Okay, so number 2 would be, guys, when you are paying your debts, don't just make the assumption that because you paid a debt that it's going to be removed from your credit report. You want to get everything in black and white. You need concrete proof that the creditor is going to delete the account if you pay the agreed settlement amount. Okay, so don't just go pay an account, pay a collection, pay a charge-off account, pay any type of account, specifically ones that are derogatory that you're looking to get deleted. Don't just pay an account with the assumption that it's going to be removed just because you paid. You need the creditor to agree to delete, and you need it in writing, especially if they don't delete it right away once the account has been marked as paid by the credit bureaus and it's just reporting a zero balance. No, you need that derogatory item removed completely. So again, do not just make the assumption that because you pay a debt that it's going to be removed. You have to get them to agree in writing, and I would prefer you have it in writing, okay? Don't just take a verbal agreement because they can't go back on their word and then it turns into he say, she say, okay? So get it in writing, guys. All right, number 3, if you make a payment or acknowledge a debt is yours by agreeing to pay, that means if you call a debt collector or you call a creditor, especially on a debt that is charged off, that's closed, that still has a balance, if you do these things, you could potentially restart the statute of limitations on this debt, meaning that this applies in 2 ways. Statute of limitations meaning the credit reporting time, so the time that it's allowed to report on your credit report, which is based off the date of last activity. So if you go calling about a debt, inquiring about a debt, making a promise to pay over the phone, you will potentially restart the statute of limitations on this debt, meaning that it will stay on your credit report longer because that's a new form of activity that has been made on this account that can be notated by the creditor and reported to the credit bureaus. Also, if you go calling in or making a payment on a debt, especially a partial payment on a debt that is still within the statute of limitations, you run the risk of being sued. So what you might want to do is shut up.
Shut your mouth and your fat ass, boy.
Leave it alone. If you have you're not looking to pay the debt in full, you're not looking to do a pay for deletion, leave the shit alone if you are not in a position to be able to do so. Don't go calling, inquiring, acknowledging, messing around with accounts that's about to fall off your credit, that is, about to get out of the statute of limitations. Leave that shit alone before you start disputing. Wait until you're in the safe zone and the debt falls out of the statute of limitations before you go calling and inquiring about a debt, okay? Leave it alone. Number 4, just because you disputed a debt and got it removed from your credit report does not mean that your financial obligations to the debt are waived, that it's forgiven, unless the creditor has told you so, unless you've got it in writing that the debt is too old to collect, is too old for you to make a payment. Unless you got something in writing stating that, don't just assume because you got an account removed that your obligation to pay is done. So let's take a collection, for example. All right, you get the collection removed, right? It's removed. They were unable to validate the debt. They were unable to do whatever. They removed the account after you sent in a dispute letter. Now, the original creditor who sold the debt, just because they sold the debt doesn't mean that you're no longer obligated to pay them or that debt collector, whoever, right? It just means that that debt is not on your credit report anymore. Now, that original creditor could still go and sell that debt to someone else, or that debt collector could then turn the debt over to someone else. So the best way to eliminate debt being resold over and over again is to make a payment arrangement with the source, ideally being the original creditor. So if you can get that original creditor to agree to accept your payment, then that will stop the debt from being sold over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so you want to go to the source to stop it altogether. I never said go to the debt collector, okay? I said go to the source. If the original creditor is willing to accept your payment, then make the payment with them. That way it can stop being resold. Now, if the debt is too old, leave that shit alone. And if you got proof that the debt is too old, keep it, being your credit report, being a letter that you received from a collector, which is usually in the fine print. It'll say that this debt is too old for you to be sued on. You know, you can make a payment if you want to, basically, and they're just looking to get a payment, but it's usually in the fine print. They don't make that bold for you to know. You have to actually read the notice, okay? So yeah, definitely know that before you just go making payments on debt, or just assuming that just because you disputed a debt, then that means that you're no longer responsible for the debt. All right. Okay. So number 5, you don't need to send in your disputes via certified mail. I know that you've heard before in the past, and maybe at one point that it was really, really, really vital. But since the pandemic, things with the bureaus and as far as disputes, it's been a little slower than usual with them getting back to you. And certified mail doesn't mean that you're more of a priority to the bureaus. It just means that you'll know when they received your dispute letter, and you are able to calculate, how long it took them to respond, whether or not they responded or ignored your dispute, and then you could go on to either sue them for not responding or file a complaint against them with the CFPB for not responding to your dispute within the 30-day time period that they're allotted to respond back to you. Now, I only suggest sending in certified dispute letters to collection agencies because they are required to respond to you within 30 days if you are responding to a debt validation letter that they sent you before the collection is actually on your report. So I will just say to send certified mail to collection agencies, but you do not have to. It's not a requirement. This is just something to keep track. You know what I mean? So there's another tip. And this will also save you money as well. Number 6, freezing your credit reports does not stop anyone such as LexisNexis, for example, from assessing your credit report. It doesn't help you when it comes to disputing items, because you have to think about what you're saying. You're going to freeze your credit report, and then you're going to dispute an account with Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, like the credit monitoring companies, the credit bureaus, who already have access to your report. Freezing your report doesn't stop them from being able to review your credit report. They already have access to this information. Actually, the companies that we do business with are giving them the information, okay? So it doesn't help with your disputes. It doesn't keep any company, when you're disputing something from them, from assessing your credit profiles. They are still able to see it. It doesn't help with bankruptcies. It doesn't help, that may have been a tactic in the past. That's why I try to keep information updated, to let you guys know that things that once worked back then probably won't work now. So it doesn't help speed up your process. It doesn't keep the credit bureaus out. What freezing your credit report does is protect you from identity theft. It keeps companies and potential assholes who are finding your information, it keeps them from opening an account in your name without your permission. It keeps companies from running your credit reports, assessing your credit report without your permission. And sometimes, all of the time, it will stop you if you forget to remove the freeze when you're trying to apply for something. It just helps in that matter. But when it comes to disputes, suppressing or freezing your credit report, it doesn't help with disputes, okay? So that's just something else I want you guys to know. And these are things a lot of people don't know, but you know, it helps when you're repairing your own credit to know certain things that credit repair specialists know already, because you can do this shit on your own. You don't really need anybody else to do it. Now, if you need any of the letters that I had in the video, just take screenshots of the letters, or if you need, like, you want hard copies, just go to my website, achievingcreditexcellence.com, get the Ultimate DIY Kit, and you'll have access to all the letters that I use to personally get my credit score. Bro, I'm not even embarrassed. From the low 300s. Matter of fact, it was high 300s. High 300s to a 700s credit score right now. Like, these are the same letters that I personally use for my journey. And I make sure that Wednesday, I may talk about my personal journey on Wednesday. So come back Wednesday to see me talk about my credit repair journey and how I went from shitty credit to great credit, you know, and how I'm able to get approved for things now that I wasn't able to back then when my credit profile sucked, because I just didn't know any better. Like, I didn't know. So if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned in this video, leave a comment below. If you need dispute letters, go to achievingcreditexcellence.com, which will be linked in the description box, to get full access to my credit repair letters, things that I use for my own personal clients, and for myself personally when I was repairing my own credit. Get those letters and let's work together. Join the Facebook group, which is you also get access to when you purchase the Ultimate DIY Credit Repair Kit. We do consultations pretty much every day in the group. And then if you would like to do a separate consultation along with me, you can also book that on my site as well. All right, guys. Peace. See y'all on Wednesday.